Next, let's have a look at changes to functionality. Now, I know many people have been asking about foreign currency and GL entry. It's a new functionality that's been long awaited and much talked about over the years. So Microsoft have added some new functionality that allows us to revalue GL amounts. And there's some new fields that have been added to track the original currency and currency amounts on GL entries. Let's have a quick look at that. I'm going to do an example on this one because I know this is of interest to quite a few people. Let's go back to Business Central. I'm going to have to change my role back to the Business Manager. Excuse me. Firstly, as this is a new feature, you may, if you haven't already, go to Features Management. And you're looking for a new feature here, which you will need to turn on. Enable use of GL currency revaluation. Okay, so what does this feature do? Let's have a look at a GL account. So I'm going to the chart of accounts. I've created a filter here just for my example, but effectively this is going to be the same for all your GL accounts. If I drill down on a balance to see my GL entries, you'll notice that there's two new fields, source currency code and source currency amount. And these will show you the original amount and currency that a transaction had when posted to the GL. Let's do a worked example to show you how that works and how that looks. First, I'd like to show you the GL card itself. There's a new tab added for revaluation. The source currency posting field allows you to control which currencies are posted to this account. So as standard, it would be blank, which allows the current behavior of your system. In other words, anything can be posted. Multiple currencies allows you to set a specific list of currencies. So effectively saying, I want only euros and US dollars, for example. Same currency allows you to restrict it to one currency. So in this example, I have set same currency and euros. And LCY, of course, is very restrictive and will not allow foreign currency postings at all. I have seen that there's some recommendations that you use same currency as I have here for each account, but I think that's more about visibility rather than functionality. So I've set this as a euro account. So only allowing euros. I also have two options here for source currency revaluation and unrealized valuation. Source currency revaluation will calculate the difference or the revaluation required, and unrealized revaluation will post that difference as part of the new batch job, which I'll show you in a minute. So you need to set up your accounts for those that you want to revalue, and this will generally not relate to debtors or bank accounts, but it really depends on your system and how you set it up. Okay, so let's have a look at a worked example. Firstly, I'd like to show you the exchange rates because that will make it come to life a bit more. So obviously I'm using euros. I'm going to the euros exchange rates. And in my example, in January, the rate was 100 euros equals 90 pounds. 100 euros equals 95 pounds. So the rate has deteriorated in January and suddenly swung the other way in February. So that's obviously a very cluttered example, but it'll highlight what the functionality does. I'm going to go to general journals, and in the general journals, I've created a loan for 100,000 euros. So in this example, we've got a loan for 100,000 euros in 2 parts. And the reason I'm doing 2 parts is just to show you the functionality and how it works. Obviously, in the real world example, you might just have one amount here. So I've got a loan for 100,000 euros, which works out at 90,000 pounds as the local currency amount. So I'm going to post this loan. Okay, let's have a quick look at how that's affected the nominal with my nice little filter. And you can see that we now have, if I go into here, so we now have a loan for, we've received 90,000 pounds and we have a long-term liability of 90,000 pounds. If I go into the GL entries for that, you can see I've got 81,000 pounds, 90,000 euros. So I can see these 2 new fields are showing me what the original transaction was and recording that. So that's the new functionality. Okay, so now I want to revalue those transactions. So if I run this new batch job, GL currency revaluation, now I've shown this on my toolbar, but you might have to find it under one of these options here for you, but I've just customized my role and put it at the top here. Excuse me again. Okay, so now I've got my loan. I'm going to revalue my loan at the end of January. So I've got some filters in here. Obviously, you can filter whatever you want to run it for. You can filter by currency, etc. I would recommend doing this. It just keeps it tight. So if I run my revaluation, you can see that one. Interesting. Let me try that again. I've only tested this 10 times. Revaluation. Okay. There we go. Okay, so what the revaluation job has done is it's calculated the change in the exchange rate and calculated a loss because my rate has gone down. And that effect of that change is a £5,000 loss. So if I post this, and you might want to change the document number, etc. So I want to post that so I can show you the effect on the GL account. So now you can see I only received £90,000, but now I have a liability of £95,000 because the rate has moved against me. And if I go in there, I can see those transactions. The original hasn't changed, but I can now see that I have a movement in my exchange rate. Note that the £5,000 is not split. The transaction is aggregating the total amount of euros in this account to calculate the movement. And if you had multiples, that's the reason I split it out, is to highlight that it calculates one amount for all transactions for that currency in that period in that account. I will quickly do another recalculation just to show you the effect in the following month. So let's go to February quickly. And we can now see that it's swung the other way. And again, let's go back to the GL accounts. So now now it really depends on how you got it. I've split it out here so that gains and losses go to different places. Obviously, you could have this in one place and you would have a net effect. But notice that it's doing the total change. So it's taking that 5,000 or 95,000 in that account and aggregating it to do the change. It doesn't reverse out the other posting. Let's just have a quick look in here, and you can see that effect in the GL. Last thing I want to discuss or mention is if I go to, where is my batch job? The adjust exchange rates, the existing adjustment that we're all used to, for those of you who use foreign currencies, there's a new option to adjust per entry. So for adjustments to customers and vendors and bank accounts, etc., rather than aggregating the change, you can now adjust for entry, per entry, if you like. So much more granular posting of changes, foreign currency movements against transactions. Right, hopefully that's a nice worked example for revaluation and the new fields on the GL entries. Very powerful, very useful for a lot of our customers, and something that a lot of people have been waiting for quite a long time as well.